Hi, my name is Paul Smithdale and I'm a Principal Consultant at Insight. I'm predominantly involved in the technology and tools Insight uses to develop business applications. COVID-19 dramatically impacted the way we work and the dynamics of our teams. With our clients and colleagues working remotely, I also had to look at how our tools would keep us being productive, help our teammates feel supported, and also ensure that we could continue to collaborate effectively. Insight was already using Microsoft Teams for communication, file share, notes, and wikis. When we started working remotely, we noticed a dramatic increase in the use of Teams. Where we used to gather for daily scrums, we now had Teams meetings, and where we used to innovate on whiteboards, we now grabbed our Surface pens and jumped into Microsoft Teams whiteboards. We also noticed through our use of Teams an increase in the number of links to GitHubs for items such as pull requests. Pull requests are a developer's way of asking for a final code review before we progress to deployment. Now, this request is very late in the process, so we encouraged our developers to open a PR as soon as possible. Now the PR is our collaboration space. We can add comments to the PR and also help development go in the right direction earlier rather than later. We also noticed a lot of task switching between GitHub and Microsoft Teams. We used the GitHub extension for Teams to allow GitHub to post notification into channels. This gave us visibility of what work had been started and where people might require assistance. Another advantage of these notifications is they had links to actions. This allowed us to complete requests without leaving Microsoft Teams, reducing our task switching and saving time. One of the aspects that impacted us the most going into lockdown is our ability to pair program. A lot of the time it's useful to sit with our colleague and shadow their work or share the keyboard and provide assistance. The first way we tried to tackle this was by screen sharing Visual Studio using Microsoft Teams. We found this to be cumbersome and difficult to make code changes in their environment. So we went across to leveraging Visual Studio Live Share. This allows each developer to stay in their own workstation and their own instance of Visual Studio, but work on the same file or project. This allows us to highlight code where we need to focus attention or make the code change. In a lot of ways, this was simpler than the in-person process of sharing the keyboard. Now that our code is done, we need to build, deploy, and share the environment so it can be tested. At the heart of what Insight does is Devops. Concepts such as continuous integration, continuous deployment, and infrastructure as code is part of every solution that we develop. When we went to working from home, our existing DevOps processes meant that we could continue developing and deploying into environments with minimal impact. In addition to the shared infrastructure, we also need to stand up individual cloud environments. This allows our developers to prototype ideas without impacting other developers. Azure DevTest Labs was leveraged to provide self-service VMs and PaaS infrastructure without stopping developers with approvals. We do this in DevTest Labs through the use of policies. It allows us to control costs and governance. These guardrails have allowed us to remove blockers and stand up environments faster. As well, in our development, we occasionally need connectivity between Azure back to on-premises services. The process of development moves faster if we can have production-like network connectivity on our local machines. VPN connections have allowed us to connect back to the office and continue developing and accessing these resources. Where VPN connections haven't been available, we've been able to leverage Windows Virtual Desktop. It's allowed us to stand up templated virtual machines with all of our productivity and development tools and have the same Azure and on-premise network connectivity. We're always looking to improve our process in what's become the new normal. Thankfully, the tools from Microsoft and GitHub are continually evolving, allowing us to stay productive. If you'd like to know more about changing your process or working remotely, please reach out to Insight. Thanks for listening.